Well, it's a very warm welcome back to a second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at Turf Moor, where Burnley lead against Brentford by 3 goals to none, and frankly it could have been even worse for Brentford in that first half. Just as good as Sean Dyche's men have been, Brentford have been completely exposed at the back, playing a very high offside line which isn't working, leaving huge gaps for players like Lowton, Goodmanson and Cornet to profit down the channels. And on top of that, they've got a second goalkeeper in today who really is looking a little bit out of his depth. A couple of the mistakes he made in that first half really were glaring errors. In fact, I think the biggest mistake he made, apart from the Lowton's goal where he came out to the edge of his 6-yard box and then decided to go back on his line and was beaten very easily, it was actually a corner kick after Burnley already led 3-0. Where he just came out and tried to punch a ball that was almost curling towards his own goal. Just didn't look very confident at all, and Burnley, with the kind of players that they have, they'll be looking to try and capitalise on that in the second half. But we are underway. No changes for either side, so it's Nick Pope in goal for Burnley with a back four of Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor. The three in midfield are Johan Goodmanson, Ashley Westwood and Josh Brownhill, with Dwight McNeil, Maxwell Cornet and Chris Wood as the three up front. For Brentford, it is Alvaro Fernandez in goal with a back three of Zanka Jorgensen, Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock. Sergi Canos and Rico Henry are the two wide men, with Frank Onyeka, Christian Norgard and Matthias Jensen as the three in midfield, and Marcus Forss and Ivan Toney are the two up front. Brentford in possession at the edge of their own penalty area, trying to get something out of this game. Clearly they have to score the next goal and do a lot more work besides to try and have any kind of chance of getting anything from this game. But Burnley will be looking to try and increase their lead. Burnley should have really been 4 up at half time. The goal that was disallowed to me was so close to being onside that I thought in this current climate those sort of VAR decisions would go the way of the attacking team, but Burnley didn't let it bother them too much, with the scoreline being what it is. Now Brentford on the attack, long ball from Canos looking for Toney, headed away by Ben Mee. Charlie Taylor in possession now for Burnley. It's pushed off the ball, but no foul, says the referee John Moss. Brentford in possession now as Canos plays the ball through to Toney. He gets brought down, no foul though. Jensen still keeps the ball alive for Brentford. Out to Henry on the left-hand side, being blocked by Goodmanson. Henry lifts the ball into the penalty area, but Pope is there and makes a comfortable save. It was always a little bit too close to the Burnley keeper. And Pope now with the save, just waiting for his teammates to get a bit further forward. I do wonder how Burnley are going to approach the second half. Will it be more of the same? Will Sean Dyche look to make a couple of changes to get a few players in, give them a bit more game time? Of course, the scoreline being what it is. But the ball now back over on the right-hand side as Burnley look, as Cornet now heading towards the penalty area. Just gets stopped, and the ball is out of play for a Burnley throw. Good chance here now for Burnley to try and put more pressure on this Brentford defence, on this Brentford goalkeeper, who looked particularly uncomfortable with a couple of crosses in that first half. It's with Goodmanson now, lays it off for Lowton. Lowton's ball in, Wood with the header. It's glanced past the back post and away for a goal kick. But once again, Wood getting above the defender and able to get a header towards goal. See from this replay as well, as it's ball in from Lowton. He's had an excellent game so far. Glancing header there from Wood, just away from the post, with the goalkeeper beaten at the near one. And now it's Alvaro Fernandez looking to restart play. And he still plays it short, despite there being 3 Burnley players close by. In the end, Pinnock is forced to clear it long with the very next touch anyway, so it might have just made more sense for the goalkeeper to clear it long. Marcus Forss then is dispossessed on the halfway line, trying to fight back to win the ball there for Brentford, but Lowton is able to get it away down that right-hand side. Pinnock then back towards the goalkeeper. Alvaro Fernandez over towards Zanka Jorgensen. One touch there from Canos, back to Jorgensen. There is Toney on the halfway line, plays it first time over the top for Frank Onyeka to chase down the right hand side. Onyeka gets there before Ben Mee, and he now lays it off for Sergi Canos. There's 3 Brentford players in the penalty area. Canos' ball gets a deflection, it drops to Norgard, who volleys it towards goal, and that's a good save by Nick Pope. The rebound here is with Rico Henry. He puts it onto his right foot, and then it's a really poor wayward effort there from Rico Henry in the end. He should have looked to try and play it square rather than shooting with his weaker right foot. But this effort from Norgard, bouncing ball, it was heading towards goal. Good save there from Nick Pope low down to get that one away. It's some sort of response here from Brentford in the early stages of this second half, despite the drubbing they got in the first. As I say, the 3-0 down, and that fourth goal that Burnley had disallowed was pretty much, as far as for my money, was a goal as well. And there were a couple of other moments as well in that first half where Brentford just looked completely exposed at the back. That is something that the Bees will have to remedy. Home to Norwich in Brentford's next game. Burnley travel to Chelsea. So they're only going to be down the road from where Brentford are next week, but yes, a difficult trip for Sean Dyche's side. Chelsea, by the way, is still 0-0 with Newcastle at St James's Park. Looking at the stats from that game, just been the one shot on target from Chelsea, that despite having 75% possession. So Newcastle doing their best to stifle a Chelsea side that are dominating in terms of possession. Not changing any of the other scores, so it's still Liverpool 2, Brighton 1, Man City 10-man. Man City trail Palace by a goal to nil. And it's still Watford 0, Southampton 1. So here at Turf Moor, 52 minutes gone. It's Burnley 3, Brentford 0. Brentford in possession at the edge of their own box with Pontus Jansson going back towards Alvaro Fernandez. As I say, teams watching the highlights of this game will see how Fernandez did or didn't react to certain situations in the box in the first half. They'll be looking to try and capitalise on that. So he's going to be Brentford's keeper for the next, at least until the end of December, you would imagine, unless the Bees think about recalling their young Icelandic goalkeeper Patrick Gunnarsson. Meantime, it is Brentford in possession down the left-hand side. Into the Burnley half now goes Ethan Pinnock. It was a darting run forward there from Tony, but nobody spotted it. He has to get back into an onside position. Now Frank Onyeka over towards Sergi Canos on the right-hand side. Canos puts the ball into the box, headed away by Tarkowski. Loose ball drops to Zanka Jorgensen. On the edge of the area, he finds Onyeka. Onyeka being stood up here by Charlie Taylor. Tries to break into the box, and then he lays it off for Canos, but missed his teammate by a couple of yards. And suddenly Burnley can go on the counter. As Cornet finds Wood. Wood goes back to Westwood. And Burnley, in the end, just prefer to keep the ball inside their own half. Obviously, they're not compelled to go on a quick counter-attack straight away. And now the ball is with Matt Lowton on the right-hand side here for Burnley. Just looking up and playing a ball now down the right-hand side. A bit too long this time from Lowton. And that one is straight through towards Alvaro Fernandez. Zanka Jorgensen now brings the ball forward. And then after this difficult start to the season that Burnley have had, it was so important for them to get a good game at home today. Not only to score a few goals, but also to keep a clean sheet, just to show that attacking style of play. As I've mentioned, I've seen Cornet play a few times now for Burnley. I've been very, very impressed with him. Just added that little bit of flair to a very strong Burnley, a very well organised Burnley side. That's not meant to sound patronising. I know that some Burnley fans get quite annoyed by that kind of comparison, but of them being a sort of an organised workman-like team. But that's not necessarily, that's in no way meant to be a criticism. They have got some flair players in the shape of McNeil, for example, who I think is just a little bit of form and a little bit of improvement away from being a truly excellent player for Burnley. Meanwhile, Bees trying to push forward here. Norgard finding Canos down the right-hand side. Onyeka is just ahead of him. Again, Charlie Taylor doing his best to restrict Frank Onyeka here. He goes back towards Zanka Jorgensen on the halfway line. And then he plays the ball into the penalty area, which is up in the air there from Lowton. Drops to McNeil in midfield. He's been closed down by 3 Brentford players, but still gets the ball away. Headed forward by Jorgensen. He's now back in possession. Here is Christian Norgard. For options. Now over towards the right-hand side, finds Canos. Canos in towards Tony. He turns and tries to shoot, but 3 Burnley players behind him. The ball then drops to Onyeka at the edge of there. His strike gets a deflection as well. And then Tony somehow manages to get there ahead of Ben Mee, and then forces closing down on James Tarkowski, and eventually deflects that ball out for a goal kick. But Burnley guilty of being very slow in their own penalty area there. After Onyeka's strike gets a deflection, it should clearly be Pope's ball. Mee then shepherds that towards his goalkeeper, but Tony somehow manages to get a foot in, although he couldn't get a strike towards goal. And it is now out for a Burnley goal kick. 55 minutes gone. It's still Burnley 3, Brentford 0. Changing any of the other scores so far in the Premier League. Still to come this evening at 5:30. Tottenham Hotspur take on Manchester United. They're also available on our service. A long clearance there from Pope goes straight through to Maxwell Cornet, who goes down but wasn't fouled. John Moss makes that very clear, but the loose ball gets away from Rico Henry. Lowton heads it on towards Chris Wood, who just miscontrols it. And then an attempted clearance from Pinnock deflects into the path of Nurgard, who plays it to no one at all. It just goes straight out for a throw to Burnley. Brentford not helping their cause, giving all these balls away when they have a chance to try and keep a bit of possession. And Thomas Frank a little bit more concerned now on the touchline. The side have made a good start to their Premier League campaign. It's not been excellent, but it has been a good start. Currently find themselves in 12th place, and they're 8 points ahead of Burnley. And in being 8 points ahead of Burnley, they're also 8 points ahead of relegation. So in that sense, it has been a good start for the Bees. But there have been some pretty ordinary performances. That's a defeat at home to Brighton was particularly disappointing. The defeat at home to Leicester, I thought that Brentford were looking good for large sections of that game, just couldn't quite create the chances that they wanted. That defeat at home to Brighton earlier this season as well was a disappointing game, but this really has topped it as far as the Bees' performances. Burnley, on the other hand, just a 1-0 defeat at home to Spurs in the League Cup in midweek. There was that 2-2 draw away at Southampton the last weekend. Cornet again played superbly well. Brentford have won themselves a free kick inside the Burnley half, but they've taken it short. Jorgensen going square to Jensen. Jensen under pressure, finding Nørgaard. He goes back towards Pontus Jansson. So the Bees now under pressure here as Burnley try to press in midfield. Jorgensen's ball towards the edge of the box is well stopped by Ben Mee. And Mee then plays the ball down that left-hand side, but it drops straight to Nørgaard. Now Onyeka to Canos, back to Onyeka, and Canos carries on his run down the right-hand side. He puts the ball into the box, which is volleyed away by Matt Lowton, and Canos is unhappy there. He's waving at his teammates to say they should have been closer to that cross. Whether or not Canos put it in the right place, or whether or not Force Antoni just a little bit away, but there's going to be a midfield change here for Brentford, with Frank Onyeka going off to be replaced by Sam Ghoddos. Ghoddos on the field now for the Bees. We'll have just over half an hour to try and influence this game, the Iranian international. And he's on the field now straight away to see how Brentford deal with this throw. It's level with the edge of the area. Anke Jorgensen is looking to try and launch this one into the box. There are 5 Brentford players in the penalty area. Jorgensen's throw towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It just gets away though from Pontus Jansson as Charlie Taylor was sliding in. Ball now cleared towards the halfway line, but Rico Henry does well to beat Maxwell Cornet to the ball. And the Bees now in possession here with Matthias Jensen. He goes back towards Alvaro Fernandez. Clearance from him now over the top, headed forward by Ben Mee. And it's Rico Henry back towards Zanke Jorgensen. Nørgaard now down the right-hand side. In towards Henry, who's still in that midfield position, and a good challenge there from Force. Wins that ball off Josh Brownhill, but then Rico Henry just pushing into Ashley Westwood, and John Moss felt as though there was enough in that to give a free kick to Burnley. Rico Henry just had a quick word there with John Moss. John Moss, in that head teacher style that he has, just looked at him a little bit confused. Henry obviously unhappy with that free kick going against him, but now it is a free kick to Burnley on the halfway line. And here is Ben Mee now, to take this. He's got a couple of short options here, but it looks like he wants to take it long. Brentford have set up quite a high offside line as well to try and restrict Burnley getting closer to their box, but Mee does try a long ball towards the edge of the area, headed up in the air by Tarkowski. Volleyed away by Rico Henry, out for a throw to Burnley down the right-hand side. After that, a little spell of Brentford possession. It is Burnley now coming back with a bit of a possession themselves. It's with Westwood now. Back to Lowton. He goes back towards the halfway line here. Charlie Taylor plays it square to Dwight McNeil. McNeil forward to Taylor, who went on the overlap. He's been marked here by Ghoddos, but it is still Charlie Taylor. Runs into Sam Ghoddos and deflects the ball off him. It's going to be a corner to Burnley now, down the left-hand side. Chance here for the Clarets to try and increase their lead. Brentford have looked a little bit suspect in terms of their set pieces throughout the game. It's a corner kick now on the left-hand side. We'll see how Burnley want to take this, but no surprise. Look at Alvaro Fernandez there. There are 5 Burnley players surrounding him, trying to make it difficult for him. The ball is whipped in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Nørgaard. The ball drops to Lowton, who powers one from 35 yards. He really put his laces through that, Matt Lowton. It was a good effort, but just sails wide in the end. See here, he really puts his foot through that, but he catches it nicely, but also a little bit on the angle. So the ball going a long way from goal in the end. And Brentford now restarting play with a short goal kick, but even before the ball reaches the halfway line, they lose possession. Burnley now fighting to keep it inside the Bees half. Bouncing ball just gets away from Gudmundsson, and now Force heads it on to Ghoddos, who was being fouled. A referee, well, I'm not sure if he gave an advantage, he just decided there was no foul. Ghoddos then tries to win the ball back off Ben Meek, can't do it. And the ball is now over on the right-hand side with Gudmundsson. He plays it into McNeil, who gets to the edge of the area. McNeil holds this up and then fires one from the edge of the area. It's over the bar, though, from Dwight McNeil. And out for a goal kick. See that it was always heading down the middle, so even if it had been on target, it shouldn't have been any problem there for Alvaro Fernandez. Takes the oh goodness, Brentford are taking a short goal kick, and Fernandez slips inside the 6-yard box. Why are they doing this every time? It's clear that Burnley are going to leave 3 or 4 players at the edge of the Brentford box. So if Brentford keep taking short goal kicks, law of averages at on one or two occasions, it's going to go wrong, and it very nearly went wrong there as Fernandez just about got the ball away. I can tell you there's an equaliser at the Etihad. A 10-man Man City have made it 1-1 against Crystal Palace. And it's Gabriel Jesus with the goal for Manchester City. So here at Turf Moor, Brentford seeing a lot more of the ball in the second half, but no end product really so far for the Bees. Canos runs straight into Charlie Wood, and then Force leaves a bit of a foot there on Charlie Wood, on Charlie Taylor. I thought there might have been a free kick in favour of the Bees, of Burnley there, but we'll see this short goal kick again. Fernandez plays it to Pinnock. Pinnock back to Fernandez, who literally steps on the ball and very nearly gifts it to Chris Wood 5 yards out from goal. So certainly would have been a very embarrassing goal for Fernandez, considering some of the issues he's had already this afternoon. The ball played back to him. He's been closed down by Cornet. Now Pontus Jansson being closed down by Chris Wood. He gets the ball to Zanka Jorgensen down the right-hand side. Canos back to Jorgensen, who's been fouled by McNeil, says John Moss. Must admit I wasn't too sure about that one, but John Moss holds 2 up and says to McNeil, Dwight, that's twice now. Well, looking at that replay, I still think that McNeil gets the ball, but the referee gives Brentford the free kick, and I can tell you that there's a VAR check at the Etihad with the Man City goal. I can also tell you that Brighton have now equalised at Anfield, so it's Liverpool 2, Brighton 2. Henderson and Mane put Liverpool 2 up. Mwepu pulled a goal back for Brighton just before half-time, and now Trossard, whose stock has risen recently, and Trossard is now in Roberto Martinez's Belgium squad as well, and he's made it 2-2 at 2-2 at Anfield, and at the Etihad, Manchester City's goal has been disallowed, so there was an offside there, and it is still Man City 0, Crystal Palace 1. Brentford in the meantime have got forward down the left-hand side. Rico Henry's ball is cleared by James Tarkowski, and it is going to be a corner kick to the Bees from the left-hand side. It's Matthias Jensen standing over this one. He's got Canos joining him for the short ball. It's Ghoddos and Henry and Force waiting at the edge of the area, and a whole line of Brentford players inside the box as well, as they're all trying to get into position. It's going to be Matthias Jensen, plays it into Force. Force along the ground, hits it towards goal. It's stopped inside the 6-yard box. It's back with Sergi Canos. He lifts one into the penalty area, far too close to Nick Pope, and the Burnley keeper won't have any problems with a cross like that. It's catching practice for him, and he's able to make an easy save. As Brentford doing what they can here Still not enough really to upset the rhythm of this Burnley side. With 25 minutes to go, Burnley still lead here by 3-0. And long clearance there from Pope goes straight to Sergi Canos, but he's in possession here with Christian Norgard. Back to Zanke Jorgensen. Jorgensen now plays a ball down the right-hand side, headed forward by Charlie Taylor. It drops to Sergi Canos. He goes back to Jorgensen. Now it's with Pontus Jansson. Square to Ethan Pinnock, over towards the left-hand side for Rico Henry. Matthias Jensen now in midfield. But a lot of Brentford players getting a touch of the ball, but they're pretty much still around about the halfway line where they were when they started this little bit of possession. So it's not quite working for them here at the moment. Now they try to go down the left here with Henry. He's been closed down by Lowton. Norgard now switching play over towards the right-hand side. Here is Sergi Canos. Blocked there by Charlie Taylor. Canos square to Norgard. Jensen now back to Pinnock. Here is Rico Henry down the left-hand side, edge of the area, can't get into the box. Pinnock joining this attack as an additional midfielder here now for the Bees. Jensen into Henry. Look at the amount of Burnley players. Look how tight they are on these Brentford defenders. There's no way for them to get anywhere near the box. And eventually it's Norgard that tries an effort from just outside the box. It's just past Nick Pope's post. He had to dive just to make sure it wasn't going to be on target. It was one along the ground. It didn't get the curl that Norgard, I think, was looking for. We're going to see a change here for Burnley. And it's going to be Maxwell Cornet, who's put in a very good performance this afternoon. Maxwell Cornet is off, and Czech international Matej Vidra is on in his place. So Vidra now on for the last 23 minutes that we still have left here at Turf Moor. There is a goal I could tell you about at St James's Park, as it's Newcastle 0, Chelsea 1. Reece James with the goal. Another change for Brentford in midfield. Matthias Jensen is off, and Vitaly Janelt is on in his place. That's a second change for Brentford. Interestingly, both changes have been in central midfield, with Onyeka and Jensen replaced by Ghoddos and Janelt. Long clearance now from Nick Pope down the middle. It reaches Zanke Jorgensen, who scoops the ball up in the air. Tony and Tarkowski fighting for it. The ball drops to Sergi Canos. And now there's some space here for Janelt. He looked up. He could have played it to Henry. Then Dordal's on the ball, and he's beaten to it by... he's beaten to the ball there by... And Vitra with his first touch of the ball, going back towards Matt Lowton. Lowton with a pass down the right-hand side, taken down on the chest by Vitra, but it just gets away from him. And now it's with Pontus Jansson. Clears it towards the halfway line. That's not a particularly good ball from Jansson. It's also not a particularly good ball from Tarkowski, just volleying that one straight back towards the Brentford penalty area. And in the end, it ends up with goalkeeper Alvaro Fernandez. Doesn't hang around, he clears that one long. It's headed up in the air by Marcus Fors. And this loose ball back over with Vitaly Janelt, as Brentford doing what they can here to try and at least keep the possession stats up, but still not really getting shots away, as Canos now cuts in, tries to thread a ball through into the Premier League. Trying to get that ball into the box, and then the second time round as Ghoddos goes for it, there's a push inside the penalty area that John Moss has just spotted. Yeah, he's a little bit too hard on trying to get that ball off Charlie Taylor. Referees are allowing a lot more shoulder-to-shoulder contact, but it has to be at the same time. You can't sort of shove an opponent off the ball and then run away with the ball and say, oh yeah, I won the ball. That's not quite how it works. That's what Sam Ghoddos was trying to suggest there. Once again, we can see Thomas Frank and his assistant there in a deep discussion as to what they should be doing in these next 20 minutes. It's been an improvement from Brentford, but let's not get too let's not exaggerate that it's been a marked improvement. They're just seeing more of the ball, and they're not allowing Burnley as many attacks. But Burnley are leading 3-0, so that, in fairness, Brentford probably aren't trying. Burnley aren't trying too hard to try and break that control that the Bees have, that increased control that the Bees have in this second half. And the ball now back over on the right-hand side here with Johan Gudmundsson. Gudmundsson now plays that ball towards the edge of the area. It just gets away, from Wood. It's still kept alive here though by McNeil. He plays it back to Brownhill. Brownhill back over towards the right-hand side. Goodmanson now leaves it for Westwood. Westwood's ball into the box, but Pontus Jansson is back there just ahead of Mate Vidra. And it's Jansson's header out for a corner. Good ball into the box, but it's also good covering there from Jansson. Couldn't really take the chance. He was going to be able to avoid the corner with Vidra and Wood still waiting inside the penalty area. This is the 5th corner kick of the game. Burnley have had 4 of them. And here comes the corner kick now from the right-hand side of 5 Brentford players inside that 6-yard box, trying to protect their new goalkeeper. But Tarkowski and me and others are doing what they can to get as close to Alvaro Fernandez as they can. And it's Goodmanson with the ball in. Whipped in towards the 6-yard box. It's just too high for Ben Mee. McNeil was waiting to volley that towards goal. It just gets away from him. Charlie Taylor trying to keep the ball alive here for Burnley. It's a strong challenge from Ghoddos. And Ghoddos is going to get a booking here. It's a silly challenge when you consider where it was on the pitch. And it is a yellow card now for Sam Ghoddos. As Taylor, that's a terrible challenge. I mean, looking at that replay, I'm amazed that Ghoddos has even got the nerve to sort of wag the finger at the referee and say, come on ref, there's nothing wrong with that. It's ridiculous. It's I mean, he's not a centre forward, he is a central stroke attacking midfielder, but anyone on the pitch should know that's not the sort of challenge you do at the edge of your own box. He had no chance of getting the ball, and it's a free kick to Burnley down the left-hand side. Actually, Westwood stands over this one, waits to see where his teammates are. It's a good opportunity this for Burnley to try and get a ball into the box. Westwood lifts that towards the 6-yard box. It's Pinnock with the header away. Second ball played back into the penalty area. Nurgard blocks Ben Mee as he tried to get a shot away. Now Rico Henry clears that ball down the left-hand side. It's Matt Lowton who now plays the ball forward to Goodmanson. And Goodmanson with a bit of heavy control there. It's Rico Henry for Brentford Square now to Ethan Pinnock. Pinnock back to Henry on this left-hand side. Brentford still deep inside their own half here now, not really able to find any way to get forward. It's long ball now from Pontus Jansson. He does find Ivan Toney, but he had 2 Burnley players stopping him, and now Vidra going forward. He thought as though he might have been brought down by Pinnock. Referee says no. Brentford now with a chance to go on the counter as Ivan Toney moves forward through the middle. It's a bad ball though from Toney. No chance of finding Marcus Force with that pass. And now it's with Dwight McNeil as he tries to bring the ball away down the left-hand side. Just runs out of room in the end. Doesn't even win his side the throw. It will be a throw on to Brentford, which Zanka Jorgensen takes and goes back towards Pontus Jansson. 73 minutes gone. It's still Burnley 3, Brentford 0. So the scoreline from the first half hasn't changed. And in the other games, Liverpool 2, Brighton 2, Man City 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0, Chelsea 1, and Watford 0, Southampton 1. In the meantime, Brentford on the attack here. The ball gets through to Ivan Toney. And Toney with the chance to get a shot away. He strikes it a goal, but it's rising over the bar there from Ivan Toney. Certainly it was inviting the strike really where the ball was, but the effort from Toney always rising. Goal kick to Burnley now. Thomas Frank still looking a little bit concerned on the touchline. We're now focusing on Brian Mbeumo, who isn't in the starting 11 today. And he's certainly had a good start in the Premier League. Mbeumo, he's hit the woodwork on a number of occasions already, so he has been a bit unlucky in that sense, but just hasn't quite found his scoring boots compared to how important his goals were for Brentford in the Championship. Jorgensen now with the throw, headed forward by Charlie Taylor, and then Dwight McNeil runs straight into Zanka Jorgensen, who can't believe the decision, but it looks like he has been given as a free kick in favour of Burnley, and I think the fact that he's already appealing that it wasn't a foul even before the foul was given tells me that Zanka Jorgensen probably knew he was guilty there. Doesn't do too much, but then it has to be said, doesn't really get the ball, so I'm not sure he's got too many arguments. Good opportunity this now for Burnley on 75 minutes. Free kick from the left-hand side. It's Chris Wood is obviously going to be one of the targets here as McNeil tries to shoot. It's left footer shooting from the left-hand side. Trying to do a Kolarov style free kick here where the angles don't really work for a left footer, but he's still going to try and score anyway. Wasn't too far away, and considering that we've seen this goalkeeper looking a little bit nervous at times for Brentford this afternoon, makes perfect sense to try that effort. I dare say he wouldn't do that if Burnley were 1-0 down or if it was 0-0, but with 3-0 on the scoreboard, I think Dwight McNeil could probably allow himself that slightly more audacious attempt there. And a free kick on the halfway line now in favour of Burnley. It's Ivan Toney. He's not actually. I don't think he's actually caught Tarkowski in the face with an elbow, but he may have just caught the top of his head as he was trying to jostle position. There is a bit of a loose elbow there from Toney. I don't think he needs to have it where he does. James Tarkowski still needed a moment just to pick himself up there. Quick word with John Moss as well. We can see Brentford preparing their third and final change. It's going to be Mads Rasmussen. He's going to be coming on for Sergi Canos. So Rasmussen is on for these final 15 minutes or so. It's Roslev, as he has Roslev Rasmussen. I'm quite sure which surname he prefers. Does have Roslev back on the back of his shirt. So we'll see Mads Roslev now on the field for Brentford. If he's not just under 15 minutes that we still have to play here at Turf Moor. As here come Burnley now down the right-hand side. Is an overlap from Lowton. It's also good covering from Rico Henry, and he's able to bring that ball away for Brentford, but not too far. He only clears it as far as Westwood. Still a chance to get this ball into the box. Here is Goodmanson now back towards Brownhill. Was almost caught in possession, but just about keeps the ball alive here for Burnley. Then played back towards Ben Mee and Tarkowski, who are still inside their own half. Westwood to Lowton. Back for Brentford by Rico Henry. Marcus Forss turning on the halfway line, heading towards goal now, but being tracked very well here by Josh Brownhill, who then puts the ball out for a throw to Burnley. And Brownhill looks like he's come off well. I mean, it seemed like the most regulation challenge there from Brownhill. No hint of a foul, no hint of any real physical contact, but the Burnley man looks in real trouble there. Former Bristol City midfielder Josh Brownhill. We'll see if everything is okay with him. Maybe that he just, as he was putting that challenge in, yeah, it might have just been that his ankle just rolled a little bit, and he needed a moment there to pick himself up, Josh Brownhill, but he's fine to play on. Doesn't look like there's going to be any particular lasting problem for him there. So, ball now played back towards the Brentford penalty area. Pontus Jansson. Ball out towards Roslev, but he's dispossessed by Charlie Taylor. Taylor's ball into the box is just behind Chris Wood. So the ball now back over with Christian Norgard. Plays one down the right-hand side here for Roslev to chase. Roslev's ball towards the edge of the area. Oh, Forss back heels it to Toney, who ended up standing next to Forss, so they give the ball away. But Brentford now have it back on the halfway line here with Vitaly Janelt. And he has a couple of options. One of them is Roslev down the right-hand side. He's got Ghoddos and Forss and Toney waiting at the edge of the area. The ball now played back towards Janelt, and he switches play towards the left-hand side. Norgard with the header, and Ghoddos with the volley. That's a lovely strike from Sam Ghoddos. Brentford have a consolation. It's no more than that at this stage, but with 11 minutes to go, they'll feel as though they perhaps have half a chance. And Sam Ghoddos, who's been a bit part player off the bench for Brentford this season, really, he'll be really pleased with that, because the technique-wise, it's a fabulous goal from Ghoddos, it has to be said. Headed down by Norgard, and then jumping volley right into the bottom corner there from the Iranian international. Superb play there from Ghoddos, giving Brentford a half a chance to at least fight for a point. They're still a long, long way back, of course, but the goal is given, and Brentford now have a goal here at Turf Moor. Burnley's clean sheet has been and gone, but the Clarets still in a very comfortable position here with just under 11 minutes to play. You wouldn't think that Sean Dyche's side would feel under too much pressure, but you never know. If Brentford were to get another one, all of a sudden things could get very interesting here at Turf Moor. Not too much reaction from Thomas Frank, of course. His side still have plenty of work to do. I can tell you that it's a second goal at St James's Park, and it's a second goal for Chelsea and a second goal for Reece James. He's scored twice now on 65 and 77 minutes. Newcastle United 0, Chelsea 2 is the latest score from St James's Park. And just to run you through the other scores, it's still Liverpool 2, Brighton 2 at Anfield. It's still Manchester City 0, 10-man Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 1. City had a goal disallowed for offside in the second half. And it's still Watford 0, Southampton. I'm just hearing that there may be a penalty for Chelsea at St James's Park, so potentially it could be 3-0 very soon for Thomas Tuchel's side. Still looking very solid at the top of the league, especially when you think that Liverpool might be dropping 2 points this afternoon. Here come Brentford again now, down the right-hand side, as Force's first-time pass to Ghoddos is just under hit. The ball is cleared back towards the halfway line. And here is Pontus Jansson. Ethan Pinnock now, back to Jansson. Looked up, thought about playing it long. He's been closed down now by Chris Wood, so in the end Jansson just prefers to go back towards his goalkeeper. Alvaro Fernandez now with a long clearance. It's a good long clearance from Fernandez. I don't know why he's not been taking goal kicks earlier in the game. He's got a good long clearance on him. It's now with Rico Henry down the left-hand side. Goes back towards his goalkeeper. Bit of pressing here from Brownhill and from Chris Wood. But it's a long clearance now from Fernandez. Just over the head of Ivan Toney. Force, I think, was definitely holding on to Ben Mee's shirt. Referee John Moss doesn't spot that. And it's out for a throw to Brentford down the left-hand side as Sean Dyche barking out some instructions at his players. Trying to get somebody's attention there. He's always playing every pass, kicking every ball with his players, isn't he, Sean Dyche? He's that kind of manager. It's one of the many reasons why he is so popular here at Turf Moor. The other being, of course, the longevity and the fact that Burnley do have their own style of play. They don't go mad in terms of spending, and they do things step by step. Of course, there's always that risk that you might just be short one season, but certainly this win today for Burnley will be very important for them just to announce themselves with their first Premier League win of the season. Jorginho has converted that penalty for Chelsea, so it is Newcastle United 0, Chelsea 3. Still no change. Watford still trailing at home to Southampton. As Burnley now trying to get forward here. That's a push though from Goodmanson on Nørgaard. That will be a free kick to the Bees. And they need to inject a little bit more pace into these last few minutes. There's a good energy about Brentford, but there's going to be a booking here as well. I'm not entirely sure if that was for the foul. It can't surely be for that foul. McNeil, I think, perhaps just had a little bit too much to say to John Moss. And it's McNeil that's picked up the booking as the ball now back with Pontus Jansson. It's a ball over the top there. And it's Ghoddos who heads it down for Toney. The loose ball just gets away from Rico Henry. And Ethan Pinnock now playing it back towards goalkeeper Alvaro Fernandez. Wood is close by, but Fernandez still gets this ball away. Zanka Jorgensen now to Nørgaard. Force heads it on to Ghoddos, and Ghoddos has got a bit of space here now, plays the ball into the penalty area. Charlie Taylor gets a foot in, deflects that ball out. It's a corner kick to Brentford. So, decent half chance at least from the set piece now for the Bees if they can try and get this ball into the box. Put a bit of pressure on this Burnley defence. It is going to be Vitaly Janelt, the left footer. The right-hand side, it is going to be an in-swinger from Janelt, just waiting to see where his teammates are. He puts a cross into the edge of the 6-yard box, headed up in the air by Westwood. Loose ball drops to Ghoddos at the edge of the area, heads it on to Janelt, and then Janelt takes it down onto his left foot, puts another cross in which is too low, but the ball then drops to Roslev. He wants to take a shot. Rico Henry is then brought down at the edge of the area by a clumsy challenge from James Tarkowski. And that's going to be a free kick to Brentford in very much shooting territory, just a couple of yards from the edge of the D. Just slightly over on the right-hand side. So it may well be that it's going to favour the left foot of Rico Henry. Although he's walking away from it now. It looks like it's Janelt and Ghoddos. Janelt, of course, is left-footed. Ghoddos is right-footed. Wait and see exactly how the Bees want to play this. Nick Pope trying to get that wall organised as well. There's a bit of threat here from this set piece. With 5 minutes plus injury time to go, if Brentford were to score now, all of a sudden things just get that little bit more interesting here at Turf Moor. But as it stands, waiting to see how this free kick will be taken here by, it looks like it is Ghoddos who's measuring out more of the steps. Janelt is there as well, but it looks like it is Ghoddos. Goes low into the wall. Janelt with a second effort. It's on target, but it's straight down the middle. And it's a comfortable save, and Nick Pope was able to catch that first time. So it was a disappointing first free kick there from Ghoddos. Better strike from Janelt, but always straight down the middle, really. And goalkeeper Pope is able to make a good save. Clears this one long. Taken down now by Chris Wood. For Dwight McNeil, his ball over the top looking for Vidra, but after a header that ball drops into the path of Brentford goalkeeper Alvaro Fernandez. Pinnock now back to Janssen. Jorgensen now over on the right hand side, plays the ball over the tops, headed away by Ben Mee and Charlie Taylor. A little bit off balance, puts that ball straight out for a throw. Good chance now for the Bees to try and get this ball in towards the penalty area. As Zanka Jorgensen takes a short throw this time to Pontus Janssen. Ball now back with Jorgensen. Here is Roslev now. Inside to Ghoddos. He goes back to Janelt. Janelt inside the centre circle now. Lifts the ball into the penalty area. Nørgaard heads it down, and chasing this one is Force. His strike deflects off Charlie Taylor. The loose ball drops to Zanka Jorgensen at the edge of the box. He then threads the ball through to Roslev, but that's telegraphed to Charlie Taylor. He could see what was happening there, and he is able to put the challenge in, and then the ball deflects off Jorgensen. In the end, it's out for a throw to Burnley on the left-hand side, just near their own penalty area. Chance now for the home side to try and clear their lines, who have been not quite as prolific as they were in the first half, but they don't need to be. I think there was always that risk that Burnley went too attacking in the second half, and Brentford got a quick goal back at the start of the second half. All of a sudden, there would have been real pressure on Sean Dyche's men. But as it was, it took a while for Brentford to get their one and only goal in this game. And with just 2.5 minutes plus injury time left, it is a very tall order to expect Brentford to get anything from this game now. Burnley will feel as though they've been strong favourites ever since they took the lead in the first half. They've never really relinquished that, and despite being a little bit perhaps off colour at times in the second half. Overall, it's been an accomplished performance here, and the 3 points is the most important thing. 3 points, a couple of +2 goal difference as well as it stands. It would have been nice for them to have kept a clean sheet, but it's getting the 3 points that was the most important, as Brentford haven't quite given up on 8 points in this game yet. To try and get this ball into the box, which they do, but once again it's Pope that comes out and makes an easy save. Thought about taking it early, but I think he saw his, or even heard his manager Sean Dyche, and he was just being told to wait. Certainly no rush here for Burnley to clear it long. Though the goalkeeper played it to Ben Mee, who does actually play it long, looking for Chris Wood at the edge of the area. And it's Pontus Janssen for Brentford playing it back towards the goalkeeper. A bit of a miscued clearance there from Alvaro Fernandez, so it is going to be a throw to Burnley down the right hand side. Still close to the edge of the penalty area. The game's slowly winding down in the Premier League now. We're certainly not one of the first ones to finish. Liverpool, Brighton and Watford, Southampton have already gone into injury time. We're about a minute away. As Man City and Palace, they're only in the 88th minute, so they're a good couple of minutes behind us. Must have had a lot more stoppage time in the first half, but after that throw for Burnley, it's Bees now that win the ball back. They're off down the left-hand side, headed on by Marcus Forss, headed away by Matt Lowton. And now it's with Ashley Westwood. Goes back to Josh Brownhill. Clearance now from Nick Pope up towards the halfway line, beyond the halfway line in fact. It's a bouncing ball that's a goalkeeper and Pinnock were both in doubts over. Wood very nearly capitalised on that, and eventually the ball is cleared away by Ethan Pinnock out for a Burnley throw, but goodness me, more indecision here between goalkeeper and defender. Who's to blame in this situation? Again, Fernandez, is he calling for it? It seems to be moving for it very late. He either needs to move early for that ball or he doesn't need to move at all, but doing what he did there just puts pressure on his defender. Meanwhile, there's a second goal at the Etihad, but it's not an equaliser for Manchester City. It's a Man City 0, Crystal Palace 2. And it's Conor Gallagher, who's looked excellent this season for Palace. He's given them a 2-goal lead now as that game hits injury time. So it looks like Palace, not for the first time, going to be Manchester City's bogey team. On now to Burnley down the right-hand side. Into injury time here at Turf Moor. We're going to get 3 minutes of it. So it's not long to go now until Burnley can celebrate this win. Haven't quite been able to live up to the same standards in the first half. Sorry, in the second half that we saw in the first. But overall, it's been a very good performance from Burnley. Just like it was a very below par performance from Brentford in the first half, especially. Second half they've improved, but still not enough. And they're trying to get on the attack here now with Roslev. His ball into the box, cleared, and now it's Goodmanson who sends it towards the halfway line. It's Chris Wood. Tried to get on the end of that one. Beaten to it by Pontus Jansson, and then Rico Henry brought down on the halfway line over on the left-hand side. And it is Christian Norgard waiting to take this. He's got a couple of options ahead of him. Plays a long ball now towards the edge of the area. Good strong header away by Ben Mee. Ghoddos now into Jano, tried to backheel it towards Ivan Toney. It's cleared back into midfield. Here comes Zanka Jorgensen now to Janelt. Back now towards the halfway line. Bennett now lifting that one towards the edge of the area. And then a ball scooped up in the air by Dwight McNeil. And there was an offside in the middle of all of that anyway. So with less than a minute of injury time to play, that may well be it as far as any half chances that Brentford had of getting a second consolation here at Turf Moor. And, Sean Dyche looking, well, as Sean Dyche does, he's not exactly jumping up and down with delight, but he will be very pleased that his side have got the result that they've got today. And just waiting for Nick Pope to take this free kick after the offside, and that probably which will be it as far as the injury time is concerned here. Pope is just clearing it long. And the ball now drops at the edge of the Brentford penalty area. It's Chris Wood with the header out for a throw to the Bees. And as Zanka Jorgensen waits to take that throw, referee John Moss has seen enough, and it is all over at Turf Moor, where Burnley have their first Premier League win of the season, beating Brentford by 3-0 after a blistering and very impressive first half performance through goals through Chris Wood, Matt Lowton and Maxwell Cornet. Sam Ghoddos getting a consolation for Brentford on 79 minutes. And that's how the game is finishing here at Turf Moor. Burnley 3, Brentford 1. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. From myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz. Join us again soon.